Hi and happy Wednesday, 5th and 6th grade. I'm back again with another Aiming High lesson. Today we are going to be discussing disagreements. Disagreements cause people to act in a number of different ways. Some people, they may get into fights, whether verbal or physical, and that kind of conflict style is called confrontation. Others may act like nothing bothers them and they keep their feelings inside. That is called avoidance. And yet others try to come to a compromise and talk things out so that they can get along again. And that is called problem solving. Do any of these conflict styles sound like you? Do you tend to lean towards one style more than the others? And how do we come to the conclusion about which style we're going to use to solve an argument or a disagreement? In other words, how do we perform conflict resolution? There are a couple different ways that this can be done, depending on the situation at hand. So let me give you a scenario. Every day on your way to the cafeteria at school, you run into this group of kids who make fun of you. They make fun of your shoes, they ask you who dresses you, and they tell you that you should probably find a different school to go to because they own this place. All right, so we could choose a couple ways to deal with this. We could decide to yell at these kids, hit one of these kids and start a fight, or we could find somebody who is bigger than them to beat them all up. We could also act like this doesn't bother us. Smile, keep walking. Or we could choose to take the long way around and get to the cafeteria a different way. Might take us a little more time, but this way we won't have to run into these kids. And still, other ways would be we could try to reason with these kids, talk it out. Say, what is the problem that you have with me? What did I do? Or you could decide to report it to a teacher or talk to the principal about it. Okay, so here's some different ways to deal with it. If you chose to yell at them, hit them, or find somebody who's bigger than them to beat them up, you chose a confrontational conflict style. If you chose to pretend like it doesn't bother you or to take the long way around to the cafeteria, you chose an avoidant conflict style. And if you chose to try to reason with them, talk it out, or report it to a teacher or principal, you chose a problem-solving conflict style. From here, we have to ask ourselves, what one of those is going to produce the best outcome? All right, so we have to picture in our mind, how do we want to resolve this? What do we want it to look like when we're done? Now, there are 3 types of outcomes or results to any given conflict. The first one is called a win-win, where both sides' most important needs are met during conflict resolution. The other one is a win-lose, where only one person's needs are met during conflict resolution. And the last one is a lose-lose. No one's needs are being met during conflict resolution. All right, the wind picked up and it got pretty freezing outside, so I'm going home. But before I do, I want to revisit the situation with the kids on your way to the cafeteria. All right, so if you chose confrontation, which was hitting, yelling at, or finding someone to beat these kids up, what are some possible outcomes? Well, we could have a win-lose. You scare these kids off. You've won, they've lost. Okay? You could also have another win-lose, except this one goes the other way. They could possibly laugh at your confrontation and come back and tease you even worse than they were teasing you before. You could also have a lose-lose where, remember I said neither side's needs are met, and that would mean that you both get in trouble because both sides were fighting. See how this works? All right, if you chose avoidance, where you pretended like the situation didn't bother you, or you decided to take the long way to the cafeteria, this is only a win-lose situation. you might feel bad because you have to pretend like the situation doesn't bother you. You also might feel bad because now you have to take the long way around to the cafeteria, and why should you have to do that? But either way, you've avoided the issue, which means you haven't dealt with it. You simply left it as it was. Okay, so that always ends up in being a win-lose, where you let the other side win while you just agree to lose and not deal with it. Okay, and if you chose problem solving, which was trying to reason with the kids or reporting it to a teacher or principal, you could have a win-win outcome where the kids may stop teasing you because you've helped them to see your side, you've compromised, and now you're able to get along. Or you may have a win-lose, where the kids get into trouble and they would have to stop teasing you. Okay? So are there any outcomes that I didn't name? I guarantee there are. All right, but I'm going to leave that up to you to tell me about. Maybe you were in a situation that was similar to this at one time and it ended in a way that I didn't think of. Leave me a comment if you would like. I would love to hear about your situation. One last thing I want to mention to you is that just because problem solving was considered the best way to handle most situations, do you think that means that confrontation and avoidance are never necessary? Absolutely not. If your basic needs or rights are being violated, an example being you are defending yourself in a fight, confrontation is necessary. And avoidance may be the smartest way to go if you are forced to deal with someone who has been drinking, who has been using drugs, who is acting dangerously, or who may have a weapon. Okay? All right, so I will post the conflict styles and outcomes in the comments below this video, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.